Welcome to the Savvy Leader Podcast, the place for growth, learning, and inspiration for leaders just like you. I'm your host, Kristin Gallatin, and each week we will dive into the grit, grace, and gratitude it takes to become the savvy leader you were always meant to be. Okay, welcome back to another edition of the Savvy Leader Podcast. Today, we are joined by Stefani Havel. She is the client conversion queen of the Sales Strategist Network, and she has had some incredible changes recently in her world, but she is making the most of it and embracing an entirely new approach to business and all of the things. But the best part is she's able to use what she's learned until now and transition that into this new gig of helping clients convert into clients and conversations converting into contracts. Did I get that right, Steph?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Conversations into contracts. Absolutely.
Awesome. I love it. Tell us about yourself, how you got here. Give us a little background on where you came from and why you made the change.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for having me, Kristin. It really started, I worked in corporate America for 25 years, and I've always been in sales leadership roles. I say that I've actually been selling for 5 decades because I started when I was just a little kid at 6 years old, working for my grandfather, who's an Italian immigrant, and he worked at the farmer's market in Minnesota. And so as a little kid, I'd have to go to farmer's market and sell our produce. And I learned really at a young age about connecting, about sales and just really being able to connect with people and, connecting and converting that into sales. Because if you've ever been to a farmer's market or any type of a market, a lot of people have the same produce and vegetables. And how do you decide which stand you're going to stop at? Where are you going to go? And so I'd watch my grandfather. He's very charismatic. And some people would want to know about the fertilizer and how far away to plant the seeds. And people were interested in that. Other people just wanted their produce. So I had to figure out because if we didn't sell all of our produce, we'd have to put it back on the truck, take it back to the farm and unload it again. And that's something I certainly didn't want to do. So I was determined to get rid of all the produce at every market. So I had to figure out a way how I could connect with people and get them to want to buy our produce versus the stand next to them, and then to come back every week and buy different things. So what I learned was just really about connecting. My mom was a great cook, and we had vegetables every night at dinner, sometimes broccoli, beans, Brussels sprouts, lettuce, tomatoes, cucumbers, everything. And so I started sharing recipes. I started telling people that, oh yeah, my mom, she takes the eggplant and then she mixes a little garlic. And the next thing you know, I was talking about all the ingredients and they were buying one eggplant, they're buying the garlic, they're buying and all the things that my mom would make and put them into recipes. So I quickly learned that just to be able to connect with people was a really effective way in sales. And I took that with me all the way through my corporate role, and it was just really not feeling like salesy or pushy on people. And again, sometimes people think if they want it, they'll just come to you, right? But then you have to understand why they're coming to your booth or why they're coming to your website, your business, or whatever. What is it that they want? And then how do you sell that to them? And that's where I feel like people sometimes have the problem is they don't know how to sell what they have to the client that has come to them. So that's where that turning those conversations into contracts came from. So I was in corporate for 25 years. And in 2023, I worked for a large financial banking institution. And there was organizational changes like many are happening right now, a market downturn in the mortgage real estate industry, and you know that as well. And so my job was eliminated. And it was just at that point, I just decided that felt like I was meant for more. I learned a lot in corporate. I had a great experience. I was very successful and led a lot of high performing sales teams. So I thought I can take all that knowledge and all the experience I had and transfer that into the entrepreneurs, small business owners who don't have access to everything that I had. Over 25 years, I've had so much sales experience, both personally and in the corporate world. And so I thought, okay, I got to start taking this to the masses, because I quickly realized how many small business owners really do struggle with selling or talking about their business. They're so passionate about whether it's health and wellness or fitness or whatever it is, whatever industry they're in, real estate. but then they're like, oh, well, I don't know how to talk about it. So I help people really just, I want people to feel confident in their conversations. And so that all that awkwardness, all those objections and asking for the business and receiving the income, all of it is off the table and they can just feel confident. So now I've been self-employed for 3 years, running the Sales Strategy Network. And I absolutely love it. I love helping these small to mid-sized companies just really feel confident, those business owners or those sales leaders who just they've tried the scripts, they've read the book, they're listening to the podcast, but they still have that like ew, that icky feeling in their stomach when they actually have to go sell the business. So that's where I'm passionate about working with people in that zone of the sales process.
I love your energy and I love your strategy. I mean, thinking about when I became self employed, it was like 10 years ago, and I too came from corporate. And in my previous job, there wasn't really much in sales. There was marketing and there was business management, but sales, not so much. So I remember specifically, it took me a full turn of the calendar to understand who it was I was going to be as a salesperson. And to your point, it is about the conversations. And I can see that you have such an incredible gift for that. And your energy complements that so well.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, tell me how, so we all have special gifts and talents. Tell
Mhm.
me how you help, so with the people that you work with, if they don't have the gift of gab, let's say, how do they tap into other gifts that they might have to help them with this process? Is there other things that you can use to help convert conversations to contracts?
Yeah, great question, Kristen. And you're right. People think you don't have to be the extrovert. I am a very high energy person, but there's also faults with my selling style as well. Sometimes I'm too high energy for people. I make decisions quickly. I talk really fast, and I've learned over the years too that sometimes I can railroad people because I talk too fast. I push too quickly to decisions, and if somebody's not like that, they might be turned off. So I'm trained as a DISC facilitator. So DISC is a personality behavior style science-backed test that's been around for over 90 years. So I do incorporate that into my sales training. But even if you don't understand that, it's really the number one thing that every salesperson needs to understand is just to ask better questions. Take yourself back to that 2, 3 year old toddler self when you wanted to learn, where you were curious. How did things work? Why are they doing that? I was just with my niece and nephew, my great niece and nephews this weekend. And, they kept asking questions. Why are they doing that? How did they do that way? How did you get that? Why do you have this? What makes this work? They're so curious. And that's what sales is about, is understanding where your customer is at, but you can't understand where they're at if you don't ask the questions. So there's a reason why that customer called you. They clicked on your link to your website, they filled out a form, they stopped at your booth. Something brought them there. And as a salesperson, as a business owner, that is your job to find out why. What was it? Was it the color? Was it something the way I looked? Was it something on my table? Was it a word on the website? What stood out to you? What resonated with you? And then just engage in that conversation. Oh, well, I love the color pink, and I love that, pink and yellow font. I was actually thinking about painting my bedroom and I just saw that color. Oh, okay. Tell me more about that. Right. And then you're just engaging in a conversation. So it could be something totally random, like they just like the color and they want to know what paint color, what Pantone color that is, or or whatever it is. So, and it's really, again, just asking the better questions and then meeting the customer where they're at. One of the analogies I always use is that of an Uber driver. Okay, if you're going to take an Uber or a taxi, what is the first thing it wants to know? Where are you? Where do I need to come pick you up?
Yep. Where are you? Where are you
And
going? Mm.
and where are you going, right? And then they'll take you on the path to get there. If you just say, I'm not really sure where I'm at, they're not going to be like, oh, okay, well, I can still get you to your destination. They don't know what you have to know, where you have to meet your customer where they are at. And you do that by finding out, by asking the questions, because everybody's different. When people come to me about sales, I don't know, are they brand new to sales? Are they a 20-year veteran? Are they selling a new product or a program? Where are you at? What's going on? Tell me what you're feeling challenged about, because until I know that, then I can define the path to where I want to take you. So asking the better questions and meeting your customer where they're at in their journey. Don't assume that everybody's at the same starting point, because they're not.
Oh my gosh, what incredible insight that is. And you're right, just asking the questions and not being afraid to ask the questions, or better yet, figuring out what kind of questions you should be asking and having probably a list ready for yourself in any given situation. But I think that takes practice. Would you agree? Practice, practice.
Yeah, practice. And you said it, not being afraid. I'll tell you this right now, if there's note takers or you're a note taker yourself, one of the key questions I teach everyone, all my clients, to ask is, what are the three most important things to you about this, right? So if somebody comes to me about sales training, what are three things that are important to you in terms of your sales? Is it meeting your quotas? Are you afraid of losing your job? Is it you need to put money on the table? Is it you want to feel more confident? Whatever it is, and ask for three, right? And then really listen, actively listen to what they're telling you, because that is how, and then asking not only what's important to you, but then asking them, why is that important to you? And that is a big one people miss, because what will happen is I'll say, so Kristin, tell me what's important to you. And then you'll tell me those three things. And then all of a sudden, okay, well, I have this and I have this and I have this and I have this and this, I can sell you. Whoa, 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 whoa. Find out, why is that important? So when they tell me, well, what's important to me in sales is I'm meeting my quota, earning commissions, making more money, being at the top of my company. Okay. Why is that important to you? Well, making money, because, okay, now people sometimes laugh like, duh, why is making money important to you? Because otherwise I'm gonna lose my house, or I've got three kids, I got a baby on the way, I got kids in college. Okay, I understand. That's your why. You're working to support your family. That's why it's so important for you to make your goal, when you understand where they're at, right? What are they thinking? What are they feeling? So ask number three, why is that important to you? Or what is important to you? And then why is that important to you? That's how you get to meet the customer at where they're at, understanding their why. And when you get that from your customer, they're literally going to tell you. That's them telling you, okay, this is what I want. This is why I want it. This is how to sell to me now. Okay. I
Yeah.
told you everything. And they really don't know it. And when you can repeat it back to them and say, okay, so Kristin, what you told me is that you want to get more confident in your sales conversations so you can make more money, because you've got two kids going off to college and you need to be able to afford that. I get that. So now I know where you're at. Here's how I can help you.
Oh, that's so great. Now, what about what if you find them holding back a little bit? Can you tell and they're holding back and maybe not sharing everything? What do you do about that?
It all goes back to just asking more questions. Sometimes it could
Okay.
be what I call like a binary question. So is
Hmm.
it, that you want to be number one in the company because you're competitive, or is it really just, earning more commissions?
Hmm.
Well, it's really just
Hmm.
about, I'm actually pretty good with the money, but I'm just really competitive. I just want to be number one. Okay,
Mm.
now I know I'm dealing with a competitive spirit. So sometimes it's giving them a this or a that, right? You've seen a lot of those, what is it? Those shows or memes. Is it, do this, don't do that. Do this, don't do
Yeah.
that. Sometimes it's just a matter of asking them, okay, what do you like, and then what don't you like? Just something very simple. Again, just being really, really curious. Because you're right, people will hold back. Sometimes they don't want to be vulnerable. They don't want to share that they're in a tough financial situation. They don't want to admit it. They don't want to share it. So, but then when you can ask, is it more about the financial or is it more about the competitive? No,
Hmm.
it's the financial. Okay. Now I get it. Now I get it. Why this is do or die for them. They need to make some freaking money and they need to make it fast. Okay.
Right.
Then now I can help them. Now I understand what's important to them. They feel confident in the conversations, but what they're saying isn't working and isn't making them the money. So we need to find a shift there. So you probably get tired of me saying that, but it really is just about asking those better questions. Like a doctor, right? You go into a doctor and you say,
Mm.
oh, I've got a fever. I don't feel good. They don't say, oh, okay, here's a fever medication. Go away. They look in your tongue, they look in your eyes, they look in your ears, they poke around and prod, and
Yeah.
because they want, and you mentioned too with health challenges, right? Sometimes
Hmm. Hmm.
we just got to keep poking and prodding and doing the tests until we can
Hmm.
find out what really is the problem. So
Yeah.
just finding different ways to ask questions to probe and probe so that you can, and being, telling the client that the reason why I'm asking these questions is I want to give you the best solution. I offer a couple of different options in my trainings, but I don't know how the Uber driver, I don't know how to get you there if I don't really know where you're at right now. And then are you a backroads person or do you want to just take the fastest path? I need to understand how I
Mm-hmm.
can best support you, right? You want me to drive in 90 miles an hour, balls to the wall to get you there? Or you want to take the back roads? Tell
Mm-hmm.
me, right?
That's incredible. I love those analogies. And what I love most though is like your spirit. And that you learned this when you were so young. Like you had your goals. I mean, I feel like listening to you talk, you're just like, okay, this is my path. This is my road. This is what I'm on. This is what I'm good at. I mean, you're so intuitive with your own self, but you have to have had some challenges along the road. No? Yes?
Oh,
Can
of
you talk
course.
about some of the challenges you might have had over the last few years since you've been out here on your own?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I will say, I think probably the biggest thing, and I don't even know if I realized it right away, but one was finding my identity. I had worked in corporate for 25 years, and that's just who I was everywhere I went. I was what company I worked for, and I had a title and I had a company backing me. And so then now all of a sudden I was like, they're like, oh, so what do you do? I'm like, I'm me. I don't have a title. I'm like, well, that sounds weird. I'm a sales strategist. Like, that's weird. Like, I'm not VP of sales, and I don't work for, XYZ bank. I work for myself. And so I had to and then also just this belief that people would actually hire me, because if now that I wasn't attached to a company, I had to define my own worth. Like, yes, people will pay for my services. I don't have to have, the AVPs, the VPs, whatever, all the letters and acronyms and the big titles and the big box name behind me for people to want to work with me. And it took me a while to shed that. And I still fall back on that sometimes. Like, am I really good enough? Like, if I'm competing, so while we're talking to other companies, sometimes I'll be like, oh, well, I'm out. They're not going to hire me. Who am I? And then I have to realize, like, wait a minute, and I had a coach tell me this: if I had the amount of money that I've invested in personal development and sales training and all my corporate years, that's worth a lot. I mean, people don't get that kind of training that I got inside of corporate, and that what I personally, I mean, thousands of dollars. I mean, I'm in the six figures of money that I've invested in myself over the years in understanding personality styles, taking tests, going to seminars, webinars, books, coaches, all the things. And so just compiling that all in, and now that's what I share with my clients and other people. And so yeah, so when I lost my job, it was tough. It was hard to accept that I was no longer Stefani Havel. I was 852159. That was my employee number. After 13 years and grinding it out in a male dominant industry, and, just keep pushing harder, keep working harder, and you're going to get there. And to realize that it didn't matter. Market downturn, organizational changes, 852, you didn't make the cut. Like, and people were shocked. They're like, oh my God, how did they let you go? And they kept those other people. I'm like, but I understood. I don't have any regrets. I understood it was a business decision. As a business owner, the CEO, I mean, I still have my money invested in that company in my retirement account. I hope to heck they're doing good, right? My 401k is riding on it. So, so I think just really understanding that, that I have value, that I have something to offer and to share, and to not get, thinking that, because I know there's a lot of people who are in these corporate jobs, they're either losing them or they're so burnt out and they just think, I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm a nobody without that. And that is absolutely not the truth. And, but you have to work through it, and you just have to keep pressing on. And I know, that we've all been through adversity, and trying to figure it all out, trying to do it all on my own. And I don't know web design. I don't know. I had all that for me. I have had an assistant for 25 years that managed my calendar, that did all my marketing, that did all my phone calls and set up my appointments. It's like, ah, I have to figure all this out on my own right now. And but I did it, and so can you, right? You can do it, and just keep pressing on. And people may have heard it's not, life is not happening to you, it's happening for you. And but really believing that in your core, right? In your core,
Oh,
I've
yeah.
got that I'm not being rejected, I'm being redirected every
Mhm.
time. And we don't always understand this redirection, this path redirection, but I
Mhm.
just, I'm a spiritual person. I love the Lord. I'm like, okay, thank you, Jesus. Take the wheel, because I don't know how to drive down this new road. But I truly believe you directed me on this path for a reason. And so I'm going to just embrace it and go with it.
Oh, thanks for sharing that. And I can relate to so much of what you talked about with the corporate thing. 20 some years myself behind the corporate curtain, and getting out there on your own, finding your identity again when you were so used to having that title and moving to the next
Right.
promotion or moving to the next position, and always labeled with something. And then there was the expectation. You could clothe yourself in that expectation. So you didn't have to worry about, other things. This is what you had. You had a clear job description. And now when you're out there, like you said, you got to set up your own damn appointments and make your own damn phone calls and all that crap. And you're like, what the hell? What just
Right.
happened?
And do you find yourself too leaning on your corporate experience? Like, do you ever think
Oh,
about going
yep.
back?
I did a couple times. The only thing I'll ever miss was, I mean, and I can't even really say that. I mean, I think that's even faded away. But in the beginning, I think I certainly missed the consistent paycheck. Just
Mhm.
having that security of a consistent paycheck coming in all the time. But once you get to a
Right.
certain point, you do have consistent income in one way or another. And then you can let that go and you can rest easy. And like you said too, Jesus took the wheel and he's in control anyway. So if you're not trusting in God to provide for you, well, then you're
Right.
probably going to have a tough time, because ultimately, when you're at the end of your ropes, that's who's there. When
Right.
it's his permanent residence is right there at the end of your ropes, Jesus Christ. But
Yes.
anyway,
Well, and
okay.
and you say, and well, and the thing too is, I think that is what scares a lot of people, is that consistent paycheck and the benefits, right? With the cost of health benefits right
Yeah,
now,
yeah, yeah,
especially,
yeah.
if you're
Benefits.
over
Yeah.
50, how expensive they are. But the one thing, and that's why I've always loved sales, like even when I was in a corporate role, for the majority of my career, I was commissioned. I didn't have a salary. I was commission, 100% commission. And I loved it. And there was different times, the last half of my career, the last, quarter of my career, I had an opportunity to take a salary plus commission and then manage people who are salaried plus commission, or take the straight commission piece. And I took the straight commission piece, and people are like, are you nuts? And I'm like, because then I'm in control of my income. And that's what the beauty of being self-employed is. When you're in a corporate job, like I was doing, and probably you too, because I know you have a great work ethic, like work, work, work real hard. But guess what? My paycheck was still going to be the same week after week after week. I gave my life and blood, 80 hours a week I was working during COVID. It was insane. A video popped up on my Facebook feed where I talked about, I got home from the gym at 8 o'clock in the morning, and it was 10 o'clock at night. I was still in my workout clothes. I hadn't had any lunch, nothing. I hadn't moved from my computer because I was so busy, back to back to back to back calls and work. I couldn't even, get out of my workout clothes. And I, but I was commission only. So I made more money than commissions. But that's what I think about right now, is when you're self-employed and you own a business, yeah, I can just work a little harder and I can make more money. I'm not stuck to that specific income. I have the opportunity to make as much money as I want. If I learn to sell and communicate and connect with more people, it'll come to you. It will. It'll just, the more connections you make, you have more confidence in it. It'll come to you. So I love that you said that, because that always creeps up in my head too, about that consistency. But then I think back to, right, how hard did I work and how much extra pay did I get? Zero.
Oh, yeah. And the finance person that I spoke with recently said the same thing, because he was a financial planner, and he said, "You're self-employed. You get to choose how much money you make. Don't tell me you don't make enough money, because you actually have control over that. And having only a W-2 income isn't always the best strategy, because like like you just said, all your eggs are in one basket there and you're counting on keeping
Hmm.
that job. So when the job goes away, as is, things can happen. They come, easy
Right.
go. Yeah, if you're not a little bit more diversified in your income streams, then you can find yourself in a pickle. Um,
Hmm.
Tell me a little bit about so when you're working with people in sales, um, do you coach them along? Like, is it a one-time visit, or do you continue to work with them and coach them? Because what I'm thinking about is the whole motivation thing, and like you just said, the consistency piece, and some of that stuff is hard. If you're not a driven person, it's
Hmm.
hard to keep going like that and to not get burnt out or frustrated. How do you help people stay on track?
Right. Yeah, I think it's really just learning systems and a process, having clarity and systems in place. So I do some one-on-one coaching if it's the right client, or coaching teams, right? Being like their sales leader, because that's my sweet spot. That's what I've always done is lead teams. And I think you're right. You do kind of have to have that internal motivation, but really just always always understanding your why. Why am I doing this? Right. And having a process, because when you feel really comfortable and confident in what you're offering, then it's just going to come. I mean, I sold mortgages for 25 years and I still got a charge out of it every single day, helping somebody, get it, find the financing to get into their home, whether it be their first home or vacation home or rental property, or refinancing and paying off debt. So I think it's just, if you really love what you do, the product or the program that you're selling, that's where that motivation will come in. And sometimes maybe it's not. Sometimes people are just, they don't really have belief in the product, or it's not their passion anymore. But I think it's just really understanding your why and then having a process in place so you have clarity, so you can feel confident in your conversations, that every time I talk to somebody, it's kind of a rinse and repeat, right? And I think one of the questions you had written to me or asked is, what was it like? How do you, short-term goals with long-term strategy? One of the things I was have to ask is, if I'm taking on a client or the work that I'm doing, um, isn't in alignment with what I want to do, what I love, and my long-term strategy. Sometimes and I've done it. You get caught up, you take a client, it's like, oh, like you said, I dread having to talk to this person or dread having to talk to that training. And it's hard because we want the money, right? But then if it's not in alignment with who I am and what I want and my long-term strategy, then it's probably not a right fit. And so I think just really understanding, when you're taking on a client or a new project, does it feel right? And is this in alignment with what I'm teaching? Is this on point with my brand? If I was to put that, hey, I'm working with this client on Facebook, would everybody, or LinkedIn, would people be like, oh yeah, that's Stephanie's client? Or would they be like, she's doing what? But is she into that now? Right. I mean, sometimes you see that people like, what do they do? What are they doing? Oh, I didn't know they did that. Right. I always want my message to be very clear. This is what I do. I help you. You feel confident in your sales conversations, sales training, turn those conversations into contracts, prospects into paying clients. That's what I do. And if that client or that company isn't in alignment, with what I want to do, even though I want the money, I'm not going to take it because it's not in alignment with who I am and where I want to go with my business.
So important to recognize that you're choosing your stress when you're self-employed. You get to choose. Sometimes it doesn't feel like you have a choice, but you really do. And someone brought up
Mhm.
something really interesting too. She said, if you find someone that's not entirely in alignment with your values, you can work with them for a little bit, and see how it goes. And maybe you can help them along and help them shift over and see the light. But if not, then, you just kind of got to give yourself a time limit. If you feel so
Right.
pinched that you don't want to turn away a client, then, go ahead, but give yourself some boundaries and set some timelines so that you're not completely giving yourself up for things that you don't believe in. That's so important because it's so
Yeah.
draining when you do.
And I think people in the real estate mortgage, they can tend to fall into that trap, especially with how difficult it's been the past couple of years. But
Mm,
if that client is literally draining you and losing
mm,
your joy for your job,
mm-hmm,
it's not, what is it costing you really? I mean, is the
mm,
paycheck that you're getting really worth the mental and emotional toll. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, sometimes you got to fire people. You got to fire clients because they're not in alignment. And I've turned
Mm-hmm.
down jobs. I've had jobs given to me because somebody said, "Yeah, that's not really in my wheelhouse." And I've had
Mm-hmm.
people come to me and I said, I don't think I'm the right person for you. I don't have enough experience or kind of where you want to go. I don't think I'm the right fit." And being able to say that, I
Mm-hmm.
think is very, um, I don't know what's the word. Maybe I don't want to say noble, or I'm trying to brag on myself, but
It's
it's
freeing.
just really, yeah, knowing, just know your lane. You can't,
Mm-hmm.
the swim lane, you're swimming in all the different lanes. Choose your lane. They talk about your niche. Choose your lane and be okay with saying, you know what, I don't know if I'm the right fit. Because again, we talk about, right? God will provide, right? Either if you're being
Mm-hmm.
redirected or rejected, then
Mm-hmm.
that just means you're being redirected for something else, and being
Yes.
okay with that.
And protecting your energy. So tell me a little bit, though. You touched on some processes and systems in place. What kind of habits have you either maintained or started anew in the last few years? Or talk a little bit about maybe your morning routine or evening routine, or what kind of things keep you grounded?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a big believer in like consistency and routines. I fall off of them, so I don't want to kid anybody and think that I'm perfect. But I will say for me, fitness, and I've probably been at it now for probably a good um 15 years, maybe 10 to 15 years, is working out at 7 o'clock in the morning. Now, again, if you would have told me I was never been a morning person, then I would be somebody that gets up and works out at 7 in the morning and actually likes it. I'd be like, oh gosh, no. But I found that I like group fitness. Group fitness works for me. I do not like working out alone. So I had to find a gym that did group fitness. And I met the people, and so they hold me accountable. So I love having my group fitness in the morning and just being consistent. I can tell if I miss a class, if I'm not able to go due to some event, I will um, really try to push myself to go to a later class that day. But just having that workout, and then gratitude. I am a big, big proponent of gratitude. And one little tip, and I forget who I learned it from, is when you get out of bed and you put your feet on the ground, it's thank you, right? The left foot says thank, the right foot says you, and just thank you. Right. Thank you that for the feet, that I can feel the ground, that I can see my feet, that I can hear them touch the ground, and all the things. And so just, being grateful for what we have, grateful for the stress that we have. I have my priority planner on my desk. And so when I sit down at my desk, it's what are my top 3 priorities that I'm going to do today, right? I've always have a laundry list of things to do, but what are the 3 things that I'm going to do today? And one thing that my coach talks about is what are you doing to make the cash register ring and moving your business forward? So on those top 3 priorities, are they also something that's going to make the cash register ring and move my business forward? So most of the time they do, sometimes they don't, but they're a priority, right? Like, okay, getting taxes, that doesn't really make my cash register ring, but it does move my business
No.
forward, right? It does move my business
Yeah.
forward, right? So then I can validate the income that I have and
Mhm.
where I'm going. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so I'm a big, systems and process, just being consistent. But I think I will tell everybody. And one thing I always want to say about gratitude is, I learned this a long time ago, is really going deep in the gratitude. Is people will say, oh, I'm thankful for my family and my friends, and okay, for my job, but really, really getting deep. And the example that this person used, it was a story or a speaker that I heard, is, we're thankful for the food, right? And food in our belly. But, how about thankful for the grocery stores that stock the groceries, for the employees, right, who put the groceries on the shelf, for the truck drivers who brought the produce to the store, to the farmers, to the rain, to the fertilizer, to the dirt. Like really, really, truly thankful for where that food came from, right? Thankful for my body. I'm thankful that my legs work, that my knees bend, that my toes wiggle, that I can smell, that I can taste, see, hear. The simplest of gratitudes, I think is just will take you will get you going, right? Because sometimes people, "Oh, I'm not that great for my family and my job sucks and I'm broke and I'm fighting with my family and I hate the holidays." And okay, well, you're here, right? I mean, did you have a tree and did you get to eat some chocolate? Did you get to watch a movie? Do you have a TV that you got to watch? Could you
Mm-hmm.
hear the sounds of the Christmas music? Could you see the Christmas lights? Um,
Mm-hmm.
really just trying to take your gratitude to just a simple level really puts things in perspective.
I love that. Go deep with your gratitude. I love, love, love that idea. I don't think I've ever looked at it that way. So I'm going to start for sure. Okay. You touched a little bit on, you've mentioned a few things about, I don't know where I heard it from, but have you had good coaches or mentors in your past? It sounds like you've had a few. Do you have any that
Yes.
really influenced you or had a really big impact on your journey?
Yeah, I mean, personally, both of my parents. I mean, I'm fortunate. My mom died when I was young, when I was 19, but she was an entrepreneur at 21. She built a beauty salon and quite a big salon and was very successful. So I think learning from her, my dad worked in the corporate world, but he was in sales. And he was a great proponent for me and for our family when my mom died. He was very instrumental in helping us stay positive and keep moving forward, right? One thing he always said is, the sun rises and the sun sets every day. And every day when the sun rises, you have a choice to get up and do something with your life or just put the covers over your head and do nothing, right? So I learned really, yeah, from my parents, but a couple that, Michael Mayer, and so you may know him from the real estate world. I met him several years ago and took one of his training programs about being a certified referral trainer. And I love Michael's teaching because he talks about building a business by referral. And that's, when I told my story in the beginning about my grandfather, I mean, referrals, people kept coming back to our stand every week because they got good produce, they had good recipes, it was fun, it was an experience. They loved it. When people came to my mom's beauty salon, it was an experience. Right. My dad is a sales leader. I remember him telling us that he managed all women and, they would challenge him like he had to come to work one day in a woman's nightgown and wear lipstick. Like he was willing to do whatever it took, right, to motivate for these women that he worked with. So it was always fun to see that. But so that's why I love Michael's stuff because it was always building on relationships is so important. Connecting, right? That's a big part of my business is connecting. I learned from Bill Walsh. He's America's small business expert, a brilliant businessman. Has built multiple nine-figure companies. And just when I became self-employed, I was introduced to him and just really learning, the being savvy about building a business, right? From the financial pieces to the investments and what do you spend money on and where do you go? Like his big thing was you always got to go VIP. Always go VIP. Even, if you think you can't afford it, but because you want to be in that circle of people, right? That's where the people are that are committed, that are all in, that want to learn. And that's how I always was. Like, I want to learn from the best. I want to be around the best so I can learn. I don't want to be the smartest person in the room, right? People always say that you're average of the people that you surround yourself with. Okay, when you go VIP, you're in the VIP. Okay, you're with the top dogs, and that's where you get noticed, and that's where people can help you. And then my most recent coach is Sandra Yancey. She runs eWomen Network, and I think I introduced you to her. Or her organization, but she's in her 60s and she's built this company for 25 years. And I love having a woman leader. So my other two coaches were men. Sandra is a woman and she's brilliant. The way she's built a business, her goal is to empower or to get 1 million women earning $1 million in revenue. I mean, that just tells you right there. She's just committed to other people's success and really achieving levels that they never thought they could. And she's making it happen left and right. And it's incredible to have a goal like that and to think, oh, I mean, I could be that person. As a self-employed person, I could earn $1 million, and she's committed to it. And she will teach you and show you the ways. You got to do the work, but she's willing to just open up her doors and say, "Here's what it's going to take." And she's all there for you. Whatever you need, here. She hands it out to her network, and so I love it.
I think that's just incredible. I love, love, love all of that. It's so inspiring to hear that you've got such vivid, memories of the people that have influenced you, and you can rattle them off by name. And they're, especially your parents, Michael Maher and Bill Walsh. And I mean, I love that you have all of that just top of mind because you know exactly who helped you get as far as you've come because you have come so far. And I hope that you
Right.
are able to see that too. Sometimes it's hard when you're in it, but you come so far, you've come a long way, and you're just a blessing to so many people. Tell me a little bit about what excites you, though, in the upcoming, in this world of sales. What excites you in the for our future?
I think, just more and more people really wanting to go out and share their message, start their own business, do their own thing. I mean, even what you shared with you and your husband, like, you go, girl, right? I mean, just doing it, right? Just living your life and realizing that what you're really meant for. I was just on a call earlier for a company that works, solely for entrepreneurs. It's a program. They've been funded money and grants, and people from all different things. They've had experience. A lot of my clients, they've had health issues, and now they want to teach other people who've had similar health issues how they can get healthy. Women who are burnt out. I have a client that sells. She's a mobile optician, right? Sells glasses and passionate about it, helping people look great in their glasses, and I love it. And so that's what excites me, is because I was that person, right? I had all these ideas when I was in corporate. Oh, we should do this event. We could do this. We could do this and this. And it was always like, nope, can't do that, can't do that, can't do that, doesn't fit in the corporate box. And I'd always try to push the box, push the envelope a little bit and get your hand slapped. And so now that I can teach and train people in a way that, like I said, that I learned growing up and what I learned from corporate. So kind of the fun, crazy, happy ways, but then also, making sure you have guardrails because there is risk and compliance with all of the things. But I just really excited about being able to help people. If somebody wants to they can't leave their corporate job yet because they do need their paycheck and their benefits, but they have this burning passion to start a business. I'd love to come alongside them and help them in terms of the sales aspect, right? Again, now I'm not the strategist and, how to set up an LLC or how to build your website or your funnels or anything. That's not me. But if you have a passion to sell it and how do you get the word out and start talking to people and connecting with people and selling your business, that's the person that I am. And I love it. Then I just want to reach more people to do it, to feel confident in whatever it is that they want to talk about, whatever it is that they want to sell and get out there. I want them to, I'm excited about having them feel confident in their conversations.
I think it's so great. I'm excited for you. I think that's incredible. What kind of goals are you actively working towards? So I see you've got so much going on. Tell us a little bit more about what you're hoping to achieve in 2026 or beyond.
Yeah. So again, it's all new to me and trying to figure out my lane, right? What do I want to do? How can I expand or scale? And so in February of 2026, I'm launching a 8-week sales course. I'm going to do it online and in person. And so there's 7 steps to the sales process. So I do 8 weeks because the first week is, we understand personality styles. What is sales about? I really want to get to know you. And then each week, we're going to do a deep dive into the sales process. So by the time you come out of that 8-week course, you definitely know each process, each step in the sales process. So you're going to feel confident in your conversations. And so I want to reach the masses. 500 people, I'm not going to get to that in a year because I like to keep my classes, under a certain amount so that I can really connect with people. But in the next, 1 to 2 to 3 years, I'd love for 500, up to 1,000 people come through my class because I'm really excited about it. So now I'm in the process of just learning. I got to do Facebook ads. I got to do email campaigns. I got to do postings. I got to do all the stuff to get the word out. But I would love for more people to take my class and so they can walk out of there feeling confident in their sales process, in their communication, and turning more prospects into paying clients. And every conversation they have, they could turn that into a contract.
I love it. That's so great. And I love that you're so crystal clear about just exactly what it is you offer and how you want to help people. What kind of advice would you like to give an aspiring young entrepreneur? Maybe someone who's had to pivot just like you did a few years ago, or even, you talk so much about sales. What's one thing you'd really just like them to know before they get going or if they're deep in it?
Yeah, I love that question. I think clarity really comes down to clarity and being crystal clear. And this is something that I struggled with too, because and I still do, right? I'm a shiny object person, like, oh, and I want to do this, 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 and like you can do a lot of things. and then nothing's moving forward, right? So it's kind of like building that snowman, right? If you build all these little snowballs, you're not going to be able to build the base of the snowman. You just got to keep packing on, and get your foundation built. What is it that you do, and what do you do, and just do it really well and be very clear on it. Because if you do that, people will come, because people are like, well, I don't want to say that I just help this line of people because I can help everybody. I use the analogy of Target, right? If you go into Target and you like Target produce, okay, and then you're like, oh, well, maybe I'll walk down and see what kind of, maybe I'll try Target brand chips or Target brand cheese because I like the other stuff Target has. I like Target bread and donuts. Maybe I'll try the Target cheese. So people will start to ask you when people come to me and they'll say, yeah, I love this. And, what else do you have? What else can you offer me? Right? When I worked in banking, we did mortgage, but do you offer banking? Do you offer CDs? Do you offer investments? Do you offer insurance, car loans? Sure. We got it all. What you need, right? But you have to start with one thing. You have one point of entry. So if you want to start a business or you're thinking about it, just get very, very clear on, who it is that you serve. What is it that you're really good at? And pick that avatar, pick that person, and all the rest of the business, all the things will come. But if people can't understand, what you're doing or what you're about, they're not going to buy from you. A confused mind never buys. If they don't really know, can you help them or are you the person for them? That's where a lot of times those sales objections come in. It's because people don't really understand what you do. And are you really the person to help them? For me, that's why I keep saying my little mantra that turn conversations into contracts or prospects into paying clients. That's specifically what I do. I help you with your conversations in sales to get really clear so you can sell your product. That's what I do. And so if you're, whatever you do, or you're in sales and you're struggling, I'm going to ask you to ask yourself, are you really clear on what you offer? And can you clearly communicate that to whoever comes to your booth, to your stand? Are you clear on it? And a lot of people are not. So
that is
clarity.
So true. I can say that's been a fault of mine many times. It's because it's so, it feels restrictive to not to want to just be more broad. You think you can reach a bigger audience, but when you're that broad, you're right. People don't exactly know just what it is you have to offer and in which way you're different than everybody else. So getting clear on that and not being fearlessly clear on exactly what it is you want to offer, I think is tremendous advice. Thank you so much. So where can we find you, Stefani? I know you've got a website and you've got an upcoming classes coming up. So where can we find all of that good stuff about you?
Yeah. So one thing, if people are ever just curious, want to have a conversation, you can go to bettercallstephanie.com. And the way I spell my name, it's Stefani. So that's a link to my calendar. It's just bettercallstephanie.com. Otherwise, I'm on all the social platforms. So my website is stefanihavel.com, at LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, you name it, wherever you're at, it's just Stefani Havel. And you can connect me there. And I also have a quiz if you want to take my free quiz and find out about your sales type, like how am I a salesperson and where are my bottlenecks? You can go to salesstrategynetwork.com /quiz. So it's salesstrategynetwork.com /quiz, and you can take a sales archetype quiz. So kind of fun.
So awesome. That is so great. Thank you so, so much for all of your insight. I look forward to watching you in the coming year and the years to follow. Your energy is just hard not to notice, and it just excites me to know that there's someone like you out there in our world helping people be better at conversations, which is the keystone of any great sales strategy. So thank you so much. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you, Kristin. That's been my pleasure. I appreciate you having me.
Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Savvy Leader Podcast. Be sure to check the description below for any links or resources we mentioned today. And for even more inspiration and tools to help you on your own leadership journey, come on over and join the conversation in the Savvy Leaders Lounge. That's savvyleaderslounge.com, and we'll see you next time.